Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Best English Podcast. I'm Sophia, your host for today. I am absolutely thrilled to have you join me in this English learning episode. If you're new to our channel, I want to say that you didn't find us by accident. You're here because you want to grow, to learn, to become a better version of yourself, and you're not alone on that journey. We share meaningful educational videos every single day because we believe that a little knowledge, shared with love, can truly change lives. Wow! We regularly share new podcast episodes designed to help you improve your English fluency and confidence step by step. So if you're ready to take that next step, to learn something new, to feel inspired, and to believe in your own potential, then stay with us. Subscribe and let's walk this path of growth together. One day at a time. Let me just say that our goal here is simple: to create a space where you can relax, listen, and truly upgrade your English skills in a way that feels natural and enjoyable. In today's special extended episode, we are going to do so much more than just practice listening. We're going to build a complete roadmap for your English learning journey. A journey that takes you from the place where you are now, the intermediate level, all the way to the advanced level you've been dreaming of. We will walk together, step by step, through creating a powerful and effective study plan. I'll share real-life practice examples that you can use every single day. And we'll do interactive exercises together that will help you boost your fluency, deepen your understanding, and build unshakable confidence. Whether your goal is to speak more naturally without hesitation, to write with greater clarity and style, or to finally understand native speakers when they talk at a fast, natural pace, this episode is going to give you the structure, the tools, and the guidance you need. I promise you that by the end of our time together, you will know exactly how to organize your learning, what daily habits will make the biggest difference, and how to practice in a way that is not only effective, but also fun and motivating, so you can finally break through that barrier and reach the advanced level. Before we dive in, if you are serious about transforming your English, make sure you subscribe to our podcast and maybe even turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss out on any of our future lessons designed to help you on this journey. So, find a comfortable spot, take a deep breath, get ready to listen and participate. And let's begin this transformation together. So, let's start this journey right here, right now. You are listening because you have a strong desire to improve your English. You have already put in the work to reach the intermediate level, and that is a huge achievement. It means you can understand a good amount of conversations. You can express your basic ideas in many different situations, and you can handle most daily interactions in English without too much trouble. But if you're being honest with yourself, you also feel that something is missing. There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Perhaps your sentences don't flow as smoothly as you'd like. Maybe when you're listening to a movie or a podcast with native speakers, you still get lost when the conversation speeds up, or the words start to blend together. Or maybe when you try to write an important email or an essay, you feel uncertain about your choice of words, your grammar, or the overall style. This feeling of being stuck is completely normal, and it's the exact point where we begin our work today. The journey of moving from intermediate to advanced. I want you to take a moment and use your imagination. Think about yourself 6 months from now, or perhaps a year from now. Picture yourself in a conversation, speaking English with a calm and easy confidence. Imagine holding long, interesting discussions without constantly pausing to search for the right word. expressing your complex thoughts and feelings clearly and precisely. Think about picking up an English book or a news article and reading it with ease, without needing a dictionary for every other sentence. Imagine writing emails, reports, or messages that sound smooth, professional, and completely natural. That is the advanced stage of English. And I want you to know with absolute certainty that it is completely possible for you to get there. But the secret isn't just about cramming more and more new vocabulary words or memorizing endless lists of complex grammar rules. The real secret, the key that unlocks the door to fluency, is building a consistent, well-structured study plan and practicing in the right way, with patience and dedication. First, let's talk about the single biggest difference between an intermediate learner and an advanced learner. An intermediate learner often thinks in short, simple phrases. They are frequently translating words and sentences directly from their native language in their head, which can cause them to hesitate and sometimes struggle to find the most natural-sounding word. An advanced learner, on the other hand, has made a crucial shift. They think directly in English. They use phrases, expressions, and collocations naturally, almost without thinking. They have developed an intuitive feel for the rhythm, the flow, and the music of real, everyday conversations. So, our primary goal together is to train your brain to think, process information, and express your unique ideas in English smoothly and effortlessly, without that constant hesitation. Let's try a small, simple practice exercise together right now to see what I mean. Imagine you've just started a new job or a new class, and you meet a new colleague named Liam. He smiles and asks you a simple question. How was your weekend? Now, at a typical intermediate level, your answer might be short and direct, something like, "It was good. I stayed at home." While that answer is grammatically correct, it doesn't really invite more conversation. It's a closed statement. But at an advanced level, you would naturally expand your answer to make it more engaging. You might say something like, "It was really relaxing. Thanks for asking. I finally had some quiet time to get lost in a new book, and I even tried cooking something special. How about you? Did you get up to anything fun? Can you feel the difference?" The advanced answer is not just longer, it's warmer, it's more descriptive, it's more natural, and most importantly, it includes a question at the end that keeps the conversation flowing. It turns a simple exchange into a real connection. Now I want you to practice this with me. Don't just listen, speak. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to answer it out loud, as if you're speaking directly to me. Ready? The question is, what did you do yesterday? Take a moment. Don't just give a one-sentence answer like, "I studied English." Try to add more details. Connect your ideas together and make it sound like a natural story. For example, you might say, "Yesterday was actually quite a busy but productive day for me. I focused on my English studies for about an hour in the morning. After that, I met up with a good friend for a coffee and a chat. And then in the evening, I decided to unwind by watching a movie in English to relax." Now it's your turn. Pause if you need to, but answer the question out loud with full connected sentences. This kind of active practice is absolutely essential because advanced English is not just about being accurate with your grammar. It's about achieving fluency, expressing your personality, and building connections with other people. The more you practice expanding your answers, adding details, and connecting your ideas, the faster you will move toward that advanced stage. Another key area that separates intermediate and advanced learners is listening comprehension. At the intermediate level, you can probably understand English when it's spoken slowly and clearly, like in a language learning video. But when people speak at a natural, quick pace, when they use idiomatic expressions or mix formal and informal language, it can suddenly become very difficult to follow. Advanced learners, however, have trained their ears to follow these natural conversations, even when people speak fast or have different accents. How do we build this crucial skill? The answer is simple but powerful. By practicing active listening every single day with material that is just slightly above your current comfort level. It shouldn't be so easy that you're bored, but it shouldn't be so difficult that you feel lost and frustrated. Let's try another exercise together right now. I'm going to say a short piece of natural English speech. Your job is to listen carefully, then repeat what I say, and finally, explain what you understood in your own words. Are you ready? Here it is. I was running a bit late this morning, so I had to grab a quick coffee and take the bus instead of walking. Luckily, I still made it to my appointment just in time. Did you catch all of that? Now let's repeat it together, slowly. I was running a bit late this morning, so I had to grab a quick coffee and take the bus instead of walking. Luckily, I still made it to my appointment just in time. Very good. Now take a moment and explain what that meant in your own words. You could say something like, "The person was late, so they didn't have much time. They quickly got a coffee and rode the bus, but they still arrived on time for their appointment." This simple exercise is incredibly powerful because it trains your listening and your speaking skills at the exact same time. As you can see, becoming an advanced learner is not about taking giant, complicated leaps. It's about taking small, smart, and consistent steps every single day. When you focus on building these positive habits, you will begin to notice real, tangible progress in your abilities. Another area we need to discuss is vocabulary. At the intermediate level, you know a lot of words, which is fantastic. But sometimes you might find yourself repeating the same common words over and over again. For example, you might use the word good for almost everything. It was a good day. That's a good idea. She is a good friend. There's nothing wrong with this, but at the advanced level, you learn to use a wider, more precise range of vocabulary to make your speech sound more natural and interesting. Instead of saying it was a good day, you could say it was a wonderful day or a fantastic day. Instead of a good idea, you could say it's a brilliant idea or an excellent idea. And instead of a good friend, you could describe them as a close friend or a true friend. Let's practice this skill together right now. I'm going to give you a simple sentence, and your job is to make it sound more advanced by replacing the word good. Ready? The sentence is, "That was a good movie." Now, take a moment and change it. You could say, "That was an amazing movie," or "That was a fascinating movie," or even, "That was a thought-provoking movie." Now, try creating your own version with your own choice of word. When you practice building your vocabulary in this active way, you make your speech more colorful, more precise, and much more engaging for the listener. Advanced learners have the ability to choose the right word for the right situation to express exactly what they mean. Now, let's touch upon grammar. At the intermediate level, you have a solid understanding of the basic tenses like present, past, and future. But sometimes you still make small mistakes, or you might avoid using more complex grammatical structures because they feel difficult or intimidating. Advanced learners, however, are comfortable using these structures naturally and correctly in their everyday speech. For example, A common intermediate mistake is saying, "If I will have time, I will call you." An advanced learner knows the correct form and says, "If I have time, I will call you." The meaning is exactly the same, but the second sentence is grammatically correct and sounds completely natural. Let's practice with a short grammar correction exercise. I'm going to give you a sentence with a small, common mistake, and I want you to find it and correct it. Ready? The sentence is, "She don't like to swim." Did you find the mistake? Yes, of course. It should be, "She doesn't like to swim." Let's try another one. I am living here for 3 years. What's the correction for that one? You should say, I have been living here for 3 years. These small corrections make a very big difference because accuracy is a key component of advanced English. But please remember this. Advanced English is not just about avoiding mistakes. It's also about using grammar as a tool to express more complex and nuanced ideas. For example, instead of just saying, "I like reading," you could use grammar to explain why. You could say, "I really enjoy reading because it helps me to relax, and it also allows me to discover new perspectives on the world." Do you see how the second sentence provides much more detail and depth? That is what makes it sound advanced. Finally, let's talk about confidence. This might be the most important part of all. Many intermediate learners already know a great deal of English, but they hesitate when they need to speak. They are often afraid of making mistakes, or they worry that their accent is not good enough. But advanced learners understand a fundamental truth. Confidence is not something you're born with. It's a skill that grows with practice. You do not have to sound perfect. You just have to keep speaking, keep trying, and keep learning from every single conversation you have. So, here is a final exercise for this section. I want you to imagine you are at a social event meeting a group of new people for the first time. You want to introduce yourself confidently, using advanced English. Instead of giving a simple, short introduction like, "My name is Chloe. I am from France. I am a student." I want you to try to expand it naturally. For example, "Hi everyone. My name is Chloe. I'm originally from France, but I'm currently living here while I study international business. In my free time, I really enjoy hiking in the mountains and learning new languages. I'm really excited to get to know all of you today." Can you hear the powerful difference? The second version is more advanced because it is detailed, it flows naturally, and it sounds confident. Now, I want you to create your own introduction. Make it at least 3 sentences long and say it out loud. Take a moment to practice. Don't just listen passively. Speak with me, because this active participation is exactly how you will build the bridge from the intermediate to the advanced level. Now that we've built a solid foundation and understand the key differences, let's go much deeper into the practical steps of creating a proper study plan. A plan that will actually work to take you from where you are now to where you want to be. So many learners stay stuck at the intermediate stage for years, not because they aren't smart or dedicated, but because they lack structure. They study in a random, unfocused way. One day they might watch a YouTube video on grammar. The next day they might read a news article, and then they might take a break for a week or two. Without consistency and a balanced approach, progress is incredibly slow. But if you follow a structured, well-designed plan, you will see improvement much faster and feel much more confident along the way. The very first and most important part of your study plan should always be daily listening practice. Why listening? Because listening is the master key that unlocks everything else. It trains your ears to the natural sounds of English. It teaches you the correct rhythm, intonation, and pronunciation. And it helps you learn new vocabulary and grammar in a natural context, not just from a list in a textbook. You should aim to listen to English every single day, even if it's only for 10 or 15 minutes. But the secret is to not just listen passively while you do other things. You need to practice actively. Active listening means you are engaged. You are repeating what you hear, you are shadowing, and you are summarizing the main ideas. Let's try this together right now. I'm going to give you a short piece of natural English speech, and your task is to shadow me. Shadowing means you repeat what I say almost at the same time as me, like an echo. It's a very powerful technique. Ready? Here's the sentence. This week has been really busy, but I've managed to finish most of my tasks on time. Now, try to say it with me, right after me. Let's do it again. This week has been really busy, but I've managed to finish most of my tasks on time. Very good. Now, try it one more time, but this time I want you to focus on matching the rhythm and the melody of my voice, not just the individual words. This is how shadowing trains your mouth and your brain to produce natural-sounding English. After you practice shadowing a sentence, the second step is to summarize it. Take that same sentence and explain its meaning in your own words. For example, you could say, "The person had a very busy week, but they were successful in finishing their work." Do you see how this one simple activity combines listening, speaking, and comprehension all at the same time? If you make this a daily habit, your fluency will improve dramatically. The second essential part of your study plan must be speaking practice. This is the area where many intermediate learners feel the most fear, and as a result, they avoid it. They can understand a lot, but because they don't practice speaking enough, their speaking skills lag behind. That is why they stay stuck. To reach the advanced level, you absolutely must speak English every day. Even if you don't have a speaking partner, you can still practice effectively by speaking to yourself. This might feel strange at first, but it is incredibly effective. For example, you can describe your day out loud in English as you are living it. You can explain your thoughts or feelings about something in English. Or you can practice answering common questions that you might hear in daily life. Here is a speaking exercise for you to do right now. Imagine you're in an English speaking exam, and the examiner asks you, "Tell me about a place you enjoy visiting." Now, instead of giving a very short and simple answer, like, "I enjoy the park," it is nice. I want you to try to expand it with details and feelings. You could say something like, "One of my absolute favorite places to visit is the large park near my home. I try to go there almost every weekend because it's so peaceful and green. I usually take a book with me to read on a bench, or sometimes I'll meet a friend there for a long walk. It's the perfect place for me to relax and clear my mind after a busy week." This answer is longer, much more descriptive, and it sounds far more advanced. Now, I want you to pause this podcast and create your own answer to that same question. Tell me about a place you enjoy visiting. Say it out loud. The third part of your balanced study plan is reading practice. Reading is essential because it exposes you to more complex sentence structures, advanced vocabulary, and formal expressions that you might not hear in everyday casual conversation. You should aim to read a variety of different types of texts. Don't just stick to textbooks. Read online news articles, blogs about your hobbies, short stories, and even full-length books. But again, the key is to read actively, not passively. Active reading means you are interacting with the text. You should underline or write down new words that you find. You should pay attention to how sentences are structured. And you should ask yourself questions about what you are reading to check your comprehension. Let's do a short reading practice exercise right now. I am going to read a short passage to you. Listen carefully, and then I will ask you some questions about it. Ready? Here is the passage. Last night, Sarah attended a classical music concert in the city center. The orchestra played for almost 2 hours, and the audience was completely captivated by the beautiful performance. After the show, she went out for a late dinner with her friends before returning home. Now, here are your questions. First, where did Sarah go last night? Second, how long did the orchestra play? And third, what did she do after the concert? Did you catch all the answers? Yes, she went to a concert in the city center. The orchestra played for almost 2 hours, and after the show, she had dinner with her friends. This is a simple example, but it clearly shows how reading practice and comprehension work together, hand in hand. The fourth part of your study plan is writing practice. Writing is a powerful tool because it forces you to slow down, organize your thoughts logically, and use correct grammar and vocabulary. At the intermediate level, many learners tend to write short, simple sentences. But to reach the advanced level, you should practice writing longer, more structured texts like full paragraphs, short essays, or even journal entries that include more detail and reflection. One of the simplest and most effective ways to practice writing is to keep a daily diary or journal in English. Every evening before you go to sleep, take just 5 or 10 minutes to write about your day in English. Don't just list what you did. I went to work. I ate lunch. Instead, try to also write about what you thought and how you felt. This will help you expand your emotional vocabulary and teach you how to connect your ideas in a more natural and coherent way. Here is a small writing exercise for you. I want you to think about something you want to improve in your life, and then write 3 or 4 sentences about it. For example, you might write, I really want to improve my time management skills. I find that I sometimes waste too much time scrolling on social media. So, my goal is to create a clear daily schedule and stick to it. I believe this will help me become more productive and feel less stressed. Now it's your turn. Think about something in your own life that you'd like to improve and write a few sentences about it in English. The fifth, and often forgotten, part of your study plan is review and reflection. So many learners make the mistake of only focusing on learning new material. They keep adding new words and new grammar rules, but they don't take the time to review what they've already learned. As a result, they quickly forget it. To move from intermediate to advanced, you must make reviewing a regular habit. This means going back to your notes from last week, repeating old vocabulary words, listening again to old audio lessons, and consciously checking your progress. Reflection is just as important. Reflection means taking a moment to ask yourself questions like, what did I learn this week? What do I still find difficult? What should I focus on next week? This process helps you stay on track, learn from your mistakes, and avoid wasting your precious time. Let's do a quick reflection exercise together. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment and think about your English learning over the past week. What specific things did you do to practice? Did you listen to anything in English? Did you speak or write? Did you learn any new words or phrases? Now, ask yourself honestly, what is one thing I could do better or more consistently next week? This kind of simple reflection is incredibly powerful because it keeps you actively involved in your own learning process and ensures you are always improving step by step. Another crucial aspect of moving to advanced English is ensuring you have regular exposure to real-life English. Many learners stay stuck in the student zone. They only learn from textbooks, language apps, or lessons designed for students. But advanced learners make a conscious effort to step into the real zone. They expose themselves to English as it is genuinely used by native speakers every day. This means watching movies and TV shows without subtitles in their own language, listening to podcasts on topics they are interested in, joining online conversations, and reading authentic texts written for native speakers. This kind of authentic exposure is invaluable because it shows you how English is used naturally, with all its slang, idioms, and cultural nuances, and it prepares you for real-world situations. Here's an exposure-based exercise for you. Choose your favorite English language TV show, movie, or YouTube channel. Commit to watching just 5 minutes of it every single day. The first time, watch it with English subtitles and pay close attention to any new words or phrases. Then, watch the same 5-minute clip again, but this time without any subtitles at all. Focus on understanding the overall flow and meaning. Finally, choose 1 or 2 sentences that you liked and try to repeat them exactly as you heard them, copying the speaker's pronunciation and intonation. This one simple activity combines listening, vocabulary building, and pronunciation practice in a fun and engaging way. Finally, please remember that a study plan only works if you are consistent. You don't need to study for hours and hours every day. In fact, that can lead to burnout. Even just 30 minutes of focused, dedicated practice can make a huge difference if you do it every single day. The goal is to build sustainable habits, not just to study randomly when you feel motivated. When you follow a consistent routine, English becomes a natural part of your life, not just a subject you are learning in your free time. So, to summarize our journey through creating a study plan, your plan should include daily practice in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. It must also include regular review and reflection, and consistent exposure to real-life English. Each of these parts supports the others, and together they create a balanced approach. This balance is the engine that will drive you from the intermediate level to the advanced level. Now, let's move forward and talk about how to practice in your daily life. Because honestly, one of the most effective and enjoyable ways to move from intermediate to advanced is to connect your English learning with your everyday routines. When you make English a part of your real life, you don't just study it, you live it. And that is exactly what advanced learners do. They no longer see English as a separate school subject. They see it as a valuable tool that they use to think, to communicate, to learn, and to explore the world. Think about your morning routine for just a moment. At the intermediate level, you probably know how to say simple things like, I wake up, I brush my teeth, I eat breakfast. But to push yourself toward advanced English, you should practice expanding these simple sentences, adding more details, and using more natural expressions. For example, instead of just saying, I wake up, you can practice thinking and saying something like, I usually wake up around 7 o'clock, but today I overslept by about half an hour because I stayed up late last night watching a movie. Can you hear the significant difference? The second version is much more detailed. It sounds completely natural, and it uses more advanced grammar and vocabulary. Let's practice this together, step by step. I want you to say this with me. I usually wake up around 7. Good. Now let's expand it. I usually wake up around 7, but today I overslept. Excellent. Now let's add even more detail. I usually wake up around 7, but today I overslept because I stayed up late watching a movie. Very nice. This is a perfect example of how you can take a simple, basic idea and make it advanced by adding reasons, details, and connections between your thoughts. Now, let's think about conversations that happen during your day. Imagine you run into a friend or a colleague, and they ask you, "How's your day going?" At the intermediate level, your automatic response might be, "It's fine," or "It's good." But an advanced learner would use this opportunity to give a richer, more engaging answer. For example, "It's been a pretty busy day so far, to be honest. I had a long meeting this morning, and now I'm just trying to finish up some important tasks before I take a break for lunch. But overall, I feel quite productive." Do you notice how this answer sounds fuller and more natural? It gives the other person more information to respond to. Here's your turn to practice. I'm going to ask you the question, "How's your day going?" Now, I want you to answer it out loud in English with at least 2 or 3 connected sentences. Don't just say, "Fine." Add some details about what you did, what you are doing right now, or how you are feeling. This is how you stretch your English abilities and move them toward the advanced level. Another area where learners often struggle is describing their experiences and feelings with precision. At the intermediate level, you might rely on basic adjectives like happy, sad, or tired. But advanced learners have a much wider variety of expressions to choose from. Instead of just happy, you could say you feel excited, delighted, or thrilled. Instead of just tired, you could say you feel exhausted, drained, or worn out. And instead of just sad, you might say you feel disappointed, upset, or heartbroken, depending on the specific situation. Let's do a quick vocabulary practice together. I'm going to give you a basic word, and I want you to try to replace it with a stronger, more specific word. Ready? The word is happy. Replace it with another word. Maybe you said excited. Great. Or maybe you said delighted. Perfect. Now the word is tired. Replace it. Did you say exhausted? Excellent. This kind of active vocabulary practice will help you build a richer vocabulary and sound much more advanced in your daily conversations. Now, let's practice describing an event in more detail. Imagine you went to a birthday party yesterday. At the intermediate level, you might describe it by saying, "I went to a birthday party. It was good. I ate cake." But at the advanced level, you would expand this into a more vivid story, something like, "Yesterday, I went to my friend Chloe's birthday party, and it was really fun. There were about 20 people there, and we played some silly games, ate some delicious food, and just laughed a lot. My favorite part was when we all sang Happy Birthday together. The atmosphere felt so warm and joyful." Do you see the clear difference? The advanced version paints a picture for the listener, it uses more specific details, and it expresses emotions. Here's your exercise now. I want you to describe the last celebration you attended in English. It could be a birthday, a holiday, or even just a simple family dinner. Try to make your description at least 3 to 4 sentences long. And try to use at least one specific emotional word, like exciting, peaceful, or joyful. Say it all out loud. Moving forward, let's focus on listening to natural English in daily life contexts. One of the biggest challenges for intermediate learners is understanding connected speech. This is when native speakers talk quickly and the words seem to blend together. For example, instead of clearly pronouncing "I am going to," many people will say "I'm gonna." Instead of "Did you eat yet?" they might say "Jeet yet?" At first, this can feel very confusing, but advanced learners get used to it because they actively practice listening to real, authentic speech. Let's practice listening and repeating right now. I'm going to say a natural sentence, and I want you to try to repeat it with the same rhythm and connected sounds. Ready? I'm going to grab something to eat. Do you want to come? Now you repeat it. Good. Did you notice how going to became gonna and want to became wanna? This is how real English sounds in everyday life, and practicing it will help you move toward advanced comprehension. Now, let's do another one. Did you eat yet? When spoken quickly, it often sounds like "jeet yet?" Repeat it with me. Great. These small listening exercises are very important because advanced English is not just about vocabulary and grammar, it's also about understanding the rhythm, the pronunciation, and the connected sounds of the spoken language. Another incredibly powerful way to improve from intermediate to advanced is by practicing storytelling. Storytelling combines many different skills at once: vocabulary, grammar, fluency, and expressing emotion. And if you think about it, advanced speakers are often very good storytellers. So, let's practice together. I'm going to guide you through telling a short story, and then I'll ask you to create your own. Here is my story. Last weekend, I went hiking in the mountains with a couple of my friends. The weather was absolutely perfect. Sunny, but not too hot. We walked for almost 3 hours, and the view from the top of the hill was just incredible. Afterwards, we had a relaxing lunch at a small cafe, and by the end of the day, we were all so tired, but also really happy. Now it's your turn. Think of a simple story from your own life. Maybe it was a trip you took, a fun activity you did, or even just a simple walk in the park. I want you to describe it in at least 3 sentences. Try to add details about what happened, how you felt, and what you saw. When you practice telling stories, you're not only improving your English skills, you are also training yourself to think in English for longer periods of time. That is a real sign of moving toward advanced fluency. Finally, let's add one more layer to our daily practice. Practicing asking questions. Many intermediate learners can answer questions quite well, but they often struggle to ask questions in a natural way. At the advanced level, asking good questions is just as important as giving good answers because it's what keeps a conversation going. For example, instead of just asking, "Where do you live?" you could make it more conversational by saying, "So, where do you live? Is it close to your workplace?" Instead of asking a simple question like, "Do you like it?" you could ask, "How do you feel about living there? Do you enjoy the neighborhood?" These extra details and follow-up questions make your conversation sound much more natural and advanced. Here's your exercise. I'm going to give you a basic question, and I want you to make it more advanced by adding some detail. The basic question is, "What do you do?" Now expand it. You could say, "So, what do you do for a living? Are you working right now, or are you studying?" Try creating your own version out loud. This kind of practice not only helps you sound more natural, but it also helps you keep conversations flowing, which is one of the biggest and most important signs of advanced English ability. Now let's shift our focus to putting grammar into action, because this is an area where many intermediate learners get stuck. You already know the main tenses: present, past, future, but sometimes you might hesitate when you need to use more complex structures, or you might avoid them altogether because they feel uncomfortable or difficult. To successfully move from intermediate to advanced, You need to start using these more complex structures naturally and confidently in your daily speech and writing. Let's begin with conditionals. At the intermediate level, learners are usually comfortable with the first conditional. For example, if it rains, I will stay home. But advanced learners are able to use all the different types of conditionals flexibly to express a wide range of meanings. For example, using the third conditional to talk about regrets. If I had known about the meeting, I would have joined. Or using the second conditional to give advice. If I were you, I would try a different approach. These sentences allow you to express hypothetical situations, possibilities, regrets, and advice much more clearly and precisely. Let's practice this together. I'll give you a situation, and you create a conditional sentence out loud. The situation is, you didn't study for the test, and you failed. You could express your regret by saying, if I had studied, I would have passed the test. Now it's your turn. Repeat that sentence, and then try to make your own example about a different situation. Very good. This kind of active practice makes using conditionals feel natural instead of like a difficult grammar rule. Now, let's talk about relative clauses. These are incredibly useful for making your sentences longer, more descriptive, and more advanced. For example, instead of saying two short, choppy sentences like, I met a man, he is a doctor, you can combine them into one smooth sentence by saying, I met a man who is a doctor. Instead of saying, I bought a book. It was interesting. You can say, I bought a book that was interesting. These small changes make your English sound much smoother and more connected. Try this exercise with me. Combine these two simple sentences into one. She lives in New York. She works as a designer. Did you say, she lives in New York where she works as a designer? Perfect. That is a great example of how advanced grammar helps your ideas flow naturally. Another important structure for advanced learners to master is reported speech. At the intermediate level, learners often just repeat the exact words someone said. For example, she said, I am tired. But at the advanced level, you learn to transform it into reported speech naturally. She said that she was tired. Or, he told me he had finished the project. This skill is very common and necessary for conversations, telling stories, and even understanding the news. Let's practice quickly. The direct speech is, I will call you tomorrow, she said. Now, change it to reported speech. It becomes, she said that she would call me the next day. Try saying that out loud now. Excellent. Now, let's move on to some fluency drills. These are specific exercises designed to push you to think and speak faster, without stopping to translate in your head. One of the best drills is called the 1-minute talk. You choose a simple topic, set a timer for 1 minute, and then you speak about that topic without stopping. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. The goal is to keep talking. At first, this will feel very difficult, but with practice, you will train your brain to stop translating and start thinking directly in English. Let's try a mini version of this right now. The topic is, my favorite season of the year. I want you to start speaking out loud and don't stop until you've shared a few thoughts. For example, you could say, my favorite season is definitely spring. I love it because the weather starts to get warm again, but it's not too hot. I really enjoy walking outside and seeing all the flowers begin to bloom. It just makes me feel very positive and full of new energy. Now you try. Talk about your own favorite season. Keep talking, even if you hesitate or make a small mistake. Another fantastic fluency drill is expanding sentences step by step. You start with a very short, simple sentence, and then you add more detail each time. For example, start with, I went to the store. Now expand it. I went to the store yesterday. Expand it again. I went to the store yesterday to buy some vegetables. And expand it one more time. I went to the store yesterday to buy some vegetables because I wanted to cook a special dinner for my family. Do you see how the sentence grows naturally, piece by piece? This is how advanced learners build longer, more complex sentences without hesitation. Let's practice this together. Start with this short sentence. I watched a movie. Now you expand it. Maybe you said, I watched a movie last night. Good. Now expand it again. I watched a movie last night with my best friend. Excellent. Expand it one last time. I watched a movie last night with my best friend, and we both really enjoyed it because it was funny and exciting. Great work. The more you practice this drill, the easier it will become to produce longer sentences when you speak. Another important step toward advanced English is mastering connector words. These are words like however, although, meanwhile, in addition, and as a result. These words are like bridges that help you connect your ideas smoothly and make you sound more thoughtful and professional. For example, I wanted to go out, however, it started raining, so I stayed home. Or, I was very tired. Nevertheless, I finished all of my work. Using these connectors correctly shows that you can build complex ideas, not just simple ones. Here's your connector exercise. I'll give you 2 simple sentences, and you connect them using a suitable connector. The first sentence is, I was hungry. The second sentence is, I didn't eat lunch. You could say, I was hungry because I didn't eat lunch. Or, I was hungry so I decided to make a sandwich. Or even, although I was hungry, I didn't have time to eat lunch until later. Now, make your own connected version out loud. Perfect. Now, let's bring all this grammar and fluency practice together with a real-life conversation exercise. Imagine you are meeting a colleague after a long day at work. I'll play both roles to give you an example, and then you can try to repeat the conversation with your own answers. Your colleague says, Hey, how was your day? You reply, It was pretty busy, but I managed to finish everything on time, thankfully. Your colleague says, That's good to hear. Do you have any plans for this evening? You reply, I was thinking of going to the gym. Although I'm a little tired, I really want to stay consistent with my routine. Your colleague says, That sounds like a great idea. I think I might just relax at home and watch a movie instead. Now it's your turn. I want you to try to replay this conversation in your own words. Use connectors, expand your sentences, and make it sound as natural as you can. Now, let's go even deeper into the practice of advanced listening, because listening is truly the foundation upon which all other fluent skills are built. If you can't accurately and quickly understand natural spoken English, it becomes incredibly difficult to respond with confidence. At the intermediate stage, you have mastered understanding English when people speak slowly and clearly for you. But reaching the advanced level means you can comfortably follow natural conversations, enjoy television shows and podcasts meant for native speakers, and understand fast speech without constantly feeling lost or needing to ask people to repeat themselves. One of the primary challenges we've touched on is connected speech. Native speakers, in any language, often link words together, they reduce certain sounds, or sometimes they even skip some sounds entirely to speak more efficiently. We've talked about what are you going to do becoming what you gonna do, or I don't know becoming a softer I don't know. At first, these sound reductions can feel like a completely different language, but advanced learners have trained their ears to recognize these patterns automatically. Let's do a more focused practice on this together. I am going to say a phrase in its full, clear form, and then in its natural, reduced form. I want you to repeat the reduced form exactly as you hear it, copying the sound and rhythm. Ready? First, the full form, could have. Now, the reduced form, coulda. Repeat after me. Coulda. For example, I could have gone to the party. Let's try another. Full form, give me. Reduced form, gimme. Repeat, gimme. As in, can you give me a hand with this? One more. Full form, I have got to go. Reduced form, I gotta go. Repeat, I gotta go. This type of focused listening and repeating exercise is crucial. It will help your brain get used to the real sounds of fast, natural English. Another critical skill is learning to listen for key words instead of trying to understand every single word. Intermediate learners often get stuck and panic because they try to catch and translate every single word in a sentence. When they miss one word, they lose the entire meaning. But advanced learners have learned to relax and focus on the most important words in a sentence, usually the nouns, main verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. These are the content words that carry the meaning. For example, imagine someone says a long sentence like this. So basically, after I finally finished work, I had to rush over to the supermarket because we were completely out of milk and bread, and then to make matters worse, I suddenly realized I'd left my wallet at home in my other jacket. You don't need to process every single one of those words to understand. The key words are finished work, rush, supermarket, no milk and bread, and left wallet at home. From just these key words, you can piece together the entire situation. The person needed groceries after work but couldn't buy them because they forgot their wallet. Let's practice this skill. I'm going to say a sentence, and I want you to listen only for the key content words. Here's the sentence. Yesterday afternoon, I was running late for my very important class because the city bus broke down unexpectedly on the way. So, I ended up having to walk for nearly 20 minutes in the rain. What were the key words? You should have picked out yesterday, late for class, bus broke down, and walk 20 minutes in rain. Did you get that? Excellent. Now, try to listen to that sentence again and just pick out the keywords for yourself. This skill allows you to stay calm and follow conversations even if you don't understand 100% of the vocabulary. Another powerful listening method we can expand on is shadowing with emotion. We know that shadowing means repeating immediately after what you hear. But when you consciously try to copy the emotion in the speaker's voice, you train not only your pronunciation, but also your use of tone, rhythm, and natural expression. For example, if the speaker sounds excited and their voice goes up, you copy that excitement. If they sound tired and their voice is low and flat, you copy that tired tone. This practice is what makes your own English sound alive and authentic, not robotic. You're not just copying words anymore, you're copying the feeling behind them. Let's try this with a slightly more complex dialogue. I want you to shadow this, trying to match the emotion in my voice. The first speaker, Speaker A, sounds very excited. Guess what? I finally passed my driving test this morning. The second speaker, Speaker B, sounds happy and supportive. Really? That is absolutely amazing. Congratulations. And Speaker A again, now sounding relieved. Thank you so much. I was so nervous, but somehow it all worked out in the end. Now, I want you to try shadowing this short conversation with me, using those same emotions of excitement, support, and relief. Excellent. This kind of practice is what bridges the gap between knowing English and feeling English. Let's also focus more on predictive listening. This means using context to guess what the speaker is likely to say next. This is something that advanced listeners and native speakers do automatically without even thinking about it. For example, if someone says, "I went to the supermarket yesterday and I bought some," your brain already expects them to say words related to food or groceries. This skill is incredibly helpful because it helps you follow conversations smoothly, even if you miss a word or two along the way. Here's an exercise to train this skill. I am going to start a sentence, and I want you to predict the most logical next word or phrase. Here we go. I was so tired yesterday after work that I went to bed. What did you predict? You probably predicted early. Yes, that is the most natural word to complete the thought. Let's try another one. The weather was so hot and sunny that I knew I needed to drink a lot of. You predicted water. Right again. Perfect. Practicing predictive listening trains your brain to be an active and engaged participant while you are listening, which is exactly what advanced learners do. Now, let's combine our listening practice with our speaking practice in a practical drill. I am going to describe a situation. First, I want you to repeat the description after me. Then, I want you to explain it in your own words. Here is the situation. This morning, I completely overslept because my alarm on my phone didn't go off for some reason, so I had to rush like crazy to get ready, and I almost missed the bus to work. Now, repeat that after me. Good. Now, take a moment and explain that situation in your own words. Maybe you said something like, "The person woke up late today because their alarm failed to ring. As a result, they had to hurry and they nearly didn't catch their bus." Excellent. This exercise builds both your comprehension skills and your speaking fluency at the same time. Another essential practice for advanced listening is exposing yourself to different accents. At the intermediate level, you might only feel comfortable understanding one or two specific accents, perhaps a standard American or British accent from your learning materials. But at the advanced level, you should aim to be comfortable with a variety of accents from all around the world. English is a global language, spoken beautifully in places like Australia, Canada, India, South Africa, Ireland, and many others. The pronunciation and rhythm may change, but the more you expose your ears to these variations, the easier it will become to understand anyone. Here is a simple but very effective exercise you can do on your own after this lesson. Go online and find a short video or podcast in an English accent you are not familiar with, maybe Australian or Scottish. Listen for just 5 minutes. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. The goal is simply to get your ears used to the new sounds. Focus on recognizing words you do know and catching the general rhythm. Then, try to repeat 1 or 2 sentences out loud. Over time, this deliberate exposure will make you a much more flexible and confident advanced listener. Now, let's practice with some daily life conversations where strong listening skills are crucial. Imagine you are ordering food in a busy, noisy restaurant. The waiter comes to your table and speaks quickly. "Hi there. Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes to look at the menu?" At the intermediate level, you might only catch the words order and minutes, and you might feel a moment of panic. But at the advanced level, you process the whole sentence instantly and can answer naturally and confidently. I think I'm ready. Thank you. I'll have the grilled chicken salad, please. Here's your turn to practice. I will play the role of the waiter. I'll ask the question, and you answer in a full sentence. Ready? Hi there. Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes to look at the menu? Now you answer. Great. That's exactly how you train for real, unscripted conversations. Let's do one more. Imagine you're at a crowded train station, and someone taps you on the shoulder and asks quickly, "Excuse me, do you know if this train stops at Central Station? Did you catch it? It's fast. Let's repeat it together. Excuse me, do you know if this train stops at Central Station?" Now, you answer as if you know the information. You could say, "Yes, I believe it does stop at Central." Or, if you're not sure, you could say, "I'm sorry, I'm not sure about that." You might want to check the board. These small moments of practice are what prepare you to handle real-life interactions with ease and confidence. The last part of this section is about building active daily listening habits. Don't just wait for your formal study sessions to practice listening. You need to make English listening a natural and effortless part of your day. Listen to music in English while you are walking or exercising. Play an English podcast on a topic you love while you are cooking or cleaning. Watch a short news clip in English before you go to bed. When you do this, English begins to surround you. Your brain gets used to hearing it constantly and processes it more and more naturally, in much the same way that children learn their first language. Now that we have fortified our listening skills, let's shift our focus to advanced speaking drills. Because for most learners, speaking is the skill where they feel the most stuck. You might be able to understand a lot when you listen. You might even be able to read and write quite well. But when it comes to speaking in a real conversation, your brain sometimes just freezes. This is a very common experience. It usually happens because you are still translating from your native language in your head, or because you lack the confidence to connect your sentences quickly and smoothly. To move to the advanced level, we need to train your mouth and your mind to work together seamlessly and naturally. The very first and most important drill is practicing thinking directly in English. At the intermediate level, learners almost always think of what they want to say in their native language first, and then mentally translate it into English. This process is what slows down your response time and makes your speech sound less fluent and more hesitant. Advanced learners have broken this habit. They think directly in English, even for simple, everyday thoughts. Let's try this together right now. I want you to look around the room where you are. Whatever object you see, I want you to name it in English without translating it first. For example, window, chair, phone, book, lamp. Now, let's make small, simple sentences in our minds. The window is open. The chair looks comfortable. My phone is on the table. If you practice this simple exercise for a few minutes every day, your brain will slowly but surely begin to switch its default mode to English. The second drill is self-talk practice. Yes, I mean talking to yourself out loud in English. This may sound a little strange, but I promise you it is one of the most effective methods for improving your speaking fluency. For example, when you're in the kitchen cooking dinner, describe what you are doing, step by step, out loud. Okay, first I'm chopping the onions. Now I'm heating the pan. I'm adding a little bit of olive oil. Or, when you are walking down the street, describe what you see. The weather feels really cool and fresh today. I can see a lot of cars on the street. I'm almost at the bus stop now. These simple sentences keep your brain active and thinking in English all day long. Here is your exercise for right now. I want you to describe out loud what you did this morning, step by step. For example, first, I woke up pretty early. Then, I brushed my teeth and took a shower. I had a simple breakfast of eggs and toast. After that, I got dressed and ready for the day. Now you try. Say it out loud. Perfect. With daily practice, you will soon be able to add more and more details and make your sentences much longer and more complex. The third drill is to practice with role-play conversations. This technique is extremely powerful because it directly prepares you for real-life situations you are likely to encounter. Let's do a role-play together. I want you to imagine you are in a job interview, and I am the interviewer. I ask you, so, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Now, you need to respond. A good, confident answer might be, of course. My name is Sophia. I studied business management at university, and I've been working in the customer service field for the past 2 years. I'm really passionate about helping people solve problems, and I'm excited about this opportunity because I am looking to grow my skills in a dynamic company like yours. Can you hear how that answer is clear, professional, and confident? Now, it's your turn. I want you to answer the same question. Tell me a little about yourself, in your own words. Let's try one more quick role play. Imagine you are at an airport check-in counter. The agent says, "Good morning. Can I see your passport, please?" You reply, "Yes, of course." Here it is. The agent asks, "And where are you traveling to today?" You reply, "I'm flying to London for a business trip." The agent then asks, "How long will you be staying in London?" You reply, "I'll be staying for 2 weeks. I'll be attending a conference for the first week and then having some meetings for the second week." This type of simple role-play practice prepares you mentally for these everyday situations so that you don't freeze or feel nervous when they happen in real life. Another fantastic drill that helps you to think and react faster is the 5-second response game. The rule is very simple. When you hear a question, you must start to answer within 5 seconds. There are no long pauses allowed and no time for mental translation. You just have to say whatever comes to your mind first. For example, if I ask you, "What's your favorite food?" you should immediately start your answer, "Pizza." Or, "I absolutely love pasta because it's so delicious and easy to make." The key is not to wait and overthink. This game trains your brain to react quickly in English. Let's practice right now. I will ask you a few questions and you answer them right away. Ready? What's your favorite hobby? Answer now. What did you eat for breakfast this morning? Say it quickly. What are your plans for tomorrow? Respond immediately. Great job. This is how you build speed and automaticity in your fluency. Now, let's work on using sentence connectors in your speech. At the intermediate level, learners often speak in a series of short, simple sentences. I like reading. I read every day. It helps me relax. An advanced learner connects these ideas smoothly into one more natural-sounding sentence. I really like reading, and I try to read every day because it helps me to relax. Can you see how much more fluent that sounds? Let's try this together. Here is the short version. I enjoy music. I listen to it every night. It makes me happy. Now, let's connect it to the advanced version. I really enjoy listening to music, and I listen to it almost every night because it's a great way to unwind, and it always makes me happy. Now you try to create your own connected sentence out loud. Another very useful drill is practicing how to expand your answers. When someone asks you a question, train yourself to never answer with just one word, like yes or no. Always give more details. For example, if someone asks you, "Do you like traveling?" Don't just say, "Yes." Instead, try something like, "Yes, I absolutely love traveling." I think it's one of the best ways to experience new cultures and meet different kinds of people. This expansion immediately shows your fluency and confidence. Here is a practice question for you. Do you enjoy learning English? Don't just say yes. Try to expand it. For example, yes, I really do enjoy learning English. I find it challenging sometimes, but it gives me so many opportunities to connect with people from all around the world and to improve myself every single day. Now it's your turn. Create your own expanded answer to that question. Finally, let's talk about intonation and rhythm in your speaking. At the intermediate level, learners often sound very flat when they speak, almost like they are reading a sentence from a textbook. But advanced speakers use intonation naturally. Their voice goes up and down, which makes their speech sound alive, engaging, and interesting. For example, I want you to say this sentence in a flat, robotic voice. I had a really great time yesterday. Now I want you to say it again, but this time with a natural, expressive rhythm. I had a really great time yesterday. Can you hear the huge difference? Practicing your intonation will make your English sound much more fluent and natural. Let's try a couple more together. Repeat this question with a rising intonation at the end. Are you coming with us? Good. Now, repeat this statement with a falling intonation at the end. I don't think that's a very good idea. Perfect. Intonation practice is what makes you sound not just correct, but also engaging and advanced. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most exciting parts of this journey: building an advanced vocabulary. Because vocabulary is what gives richness, color, and power to your English. It's the difference between painting a picture in black and white and painting one in vibrant, living color. At the intermediate level, you have already built a fantastic foundation. You know hundreds, maybe even thousands of words. But you often find yourself repeating the same basic ones again and again. Words like good, bad, big, small, happy, sad. These words are functional, they get the job done, but they don't make you sound advanced. To truly move up to the next level, you need to add variety, synonyms, idioms, and natural-sounding phrasal verbs that will make your speech more precise, more natural, and much more expressive. Let's start with the power of synonyms. Instead of using the word big all the time, you can choose from a range of more descriptive words like huge, enormous, or massive. Instead of always saying small, you could use tiny, minute, or compact, depending on the context. And instead of the simple word happy, you could express a more specific feeling by saying you are joyful, cheerful, or delighted. The key is to actively practice replacing these basic, overused words with richer, more interesting alternatives. Here's an exercise for you to do right now. I will give you a simple sentence, and your job is to make it sound more advanced by changing just one word. The sentence is, "She has a big house." Now, take a moment and upgrade it. You might say, "She has a huge house," or even, "She has an enormous house." Let's try another one. The sentence is, "It was a good day." How can you upgrade that? You could say, "It was a wonderful day," or it was a magnificent day. Now, try to create a few of your own upgraded sentences out loud. This conscious effort is what builds a powerful vocabulary. Now, let's move on to idioms because using idioms correctly and naturally is one of the clearest signs of an advanced English speaker. Idioms are those expressions where the meaning is completely different from the individual words themselves. For example, the famous idiom, "It's raining cats and dogs," simply means it's raining very heavily. To break the ice means to start a conversation and make people who you've just met feel comfortable. And to hit the nail on the head means to describe something exactly right or to say the truth. Using idioms in your conversations will make you sound much more natural and more like a native speaker. Let's practice using one in context. Imagine your friend is trying to explain a difficult concept, and they give a perfect explanation. Instead of just saying, "You are correct," you could show your appreciation by saying, "Wow, you really hit the nail on the head with that explanation." Try saying that out loud. It feels natural, doesn't it? Let's try another. Imagine you are at a party where no one is talking. You decide to start a conversation. Instead of saying, "Let's all start talking," you could say to someone, "Well, let's break the ice." "My name is Sophia." Repeat that. Perfect. Next up are phrasal verbs. These are verbs that are combined with a preposition or an adverb, like pick up, give up, or run into. At the intermediate level, many learners try to avoid phrasal verbs because the meanings can sometimes seem confusing. But advanced learners use them constantly because they are a huge part of everyday, informal English. For example, instead of saying, "I met my teacher unexpectedly at the mall," you can sound much more natural by saying, "I ran into my teacher at the mall." Instead of saying, "You should stop smoking," you would more commonly hear, "You should give up smoking." And instead of, "I learned English when I was young just by listening," you could say, "I picked up English when I was young." Do you hear how natural and fluent that sounds? Here is your practice. I'll give you a situation, and you try to use a phrasal verb to describe it. The situation is, you accidentally met an old friend at the supermarket yesterday. What would you say? You would say, "I ran into an old friend yesterday." Good. Here's another one. You have decided to stop eating junk food because you want to be healthier. What would you say? "I'm trying to give up junk food." Excellent. Keep practicing these phrasal verbs every day because they are the key that will push you much closer to advanced fluency. Now, let's practice bringing all this new vocabulary into our daily conversations. Imagine you want to describe your day at work. At the intermediate level, you might just say, "It was busy." But at the advanced level, you could use a stronger word and say, "It was hectic." I barely had a moment to take a break. Instead of saying, "The meeting was good," you could be more specific and say, "The meeting was very productive." We came up with some really valuable ideas. Here's your exercise right now. I'll give you a simple sentence, and I want you to expand it using richer vocabulary. The sentence is, "The food was good." How can you improve that? You could say, "The food was absolutely delicious." Or even, "The food was absolutely mouthwatering, especially the dessert." Now you try. Create your own version out loud. Excellent. Another incredibly important advanced technique is using collocations correctly. Collocations are simply words that naturally and frequently go together in English. For example, we say make a decision, not do a decision. We talk about heavy rain, not strong rain. We eat fast food, not quick food. Using the correct collocations is one of the biggest secrets to sounding completely natural. Let's practice. I'll give you a word, and you tell me which other word it naturally collocates with. The word is decision. Do we say make a decision or do a decision? Yes, of course, we say make a decision. Next word is rain. Do we say strong rain or heavy rain? That's right, heavy rain. One more, the word is mistake. Do we say a big mistake or a large mistake? Correct again, a big mistake. These small details are what make your English sound truly advanced and polished. Let's also practice using vocabulary to express your opinions, because advanced learners are able to express their thoughts clearly and with nuance. Instead of always starting with, I think it's good, you could use a variety of other phrases. For example, in my opinion, it's a brilliant idea. Or, I'm not really a fan of it. Or, from my perspective, that doesn't seem like the best approach. Here is your exercise. I will ask you a question. What do you think about learning English online? Don't just answer with, it's good. Try using one of the new phrases. For example, from my perspective, learning English online is incredibly effective because it allows people to study at their own pace and from anywhere in the world. Now, I want you to make your own advanced answer to that question. Excellent. Finally, let's do a short storytelling practice that brings together our advanced vocabulary, idioms, and phrasal verbs. I will tell you a short story first. Last weekend, I was supposed to meet up with a friend for lunch, but at the last minute, something urgent came up at work, so unfortunately, I had to call it off. Luckily, we managed to catch up the next day instead, and we had a whale of a time. We just talked for hours and laughed a lot. It was just what I needed to recharge my batteries after a long week. Did you notice how I used phrases like meet up, came up, call it off, catch up, had a whale of a time, and recharge my batteries? These are the phrasal verbs and idioms that make the story sound more advanced and natural. Now it's your turn. I want you to tell a short story about your own weekend, but your challenge is to try to use at least one idiom and one phrasal verb that you've learned. Say it out loud now. This kind of active vocabulary training is exactly what will move you from intermediate to advanced because it makes your speech richer, more precise, and much more natural. Now that we have a richer palette of words to use, let's turn our focus to writing. Because advanced learners are not only fluent speakers and listeners, but they are also clear, confident, and effective writers. The act of writing is a powerful learning tool because it forces you to slow down, to carefully organize your thoughts, and to pay close attention to the details of grammar and vocabulary. Many intermediate learners only feel comfortable writing short notes, text messages, or very simple emails. But advanced learners are capable of writing longer texts, like well-structured essays, professional reports, or even engaging stories, all with a clear structure and a natural flow. One of the first and most important steps to improving your writing is learning how to expand a simple idea into a full, well-developed paragraph. At the intermediate level, you might write something like this. I like traveling. I visited Paris last year. It was fun. These are just 3 simple, disconnected facts. But at the advanced level, you can expand this into a much richer and more coherent paragraph. For example, I have always enjoyed traveling because it gives me a wonderful chance to experience new cultures and meet different kinds of people. Last year, I had the opportunity to visit Paris, and it was truly one of the most exciting trips I've ever had. I absolutely loved exploring the city's rich history, tasting all the delicious local food, and simply walking by the river at night. The experience was truly unforgettable. Do you see the significant difference? The advanced version flows naturally. It connects the ideas together, and it expresses emotions and details. Here is a practice exercise for you. I want you to take a simple idea. For example, I enjoy learning English, and I want you to expand it into a full paragraph with at least 3 or 4 connected sentences. You could write something like this: I genuinely enjoy the process of learning English because it allows me to connect with people from so many different countries. Every time I study, I can feel that I am improving step by step, which is a very motivating feeling. I also love discovering new words and expressions that I can then try to use in my real conversations. Ultimately, learning English makes me feel more confident and more optimistic about my future. Now, I want you to pause and create your own expanded paragraph, either by speaking it out loud or by writing it down. Another key skill for advanced writing is knowing how to use formal language when it is needed. For example, in an email to a professor or a boss, instead of writing, I want to ask you something, it would be much better to write, I would like to inquire about something. Instead of a very direct, can you help me? You could write, could you please assist me with this matter? These small changes in vocabulary and tone make your writing sound much more professional and advanced. Let's practice this. Imagine you are writing an email to your teacher to ask for some extra practice materials. At the intermediate level, you might write, Hi, teacher. Can you give me more practice? But at the advanced level, you could write a much more polished email. Dear Professor Smith, I hope this message finds you well. I was wondering if you could kindly provide me with some additional practice materials to help me strengthen my skills in conditional sentences. Thank you in advance for your support. Sincerely, Chloe. Do you see how much more respectful and professional that sounds? Another essential skill for advanced writers is using linking words and phrases to make your writing flow smoothly. Words and phrases like furthermore, in addition, however, on the other hand, and as a result. These connectors act like signposts for your reader. They show the logical relationships between your ideas, and they make your writing much easier and more pleasant to read. For example, I enjoy reading books in English because they help me learn new vocabulary. In addition, they improve my understanding of complex grammar and sentence structure. However, I sometimes find difficult words that I don't know, and I have to check their meaning in a dictionary. This is a perfect example of how advanced writing connects ideas logically. Here is a quick connector practice exercise for you. I will give you 2 short sentences, and I want you to connect them. The sentences are, I was tired. I finished my homework. How could you connect them? You could write, I was tired, however, I finished my homework. Let's try another one. The sentences are, I like learning English. It is useful for my career. You could write, I like learning English because it is very useful for my career. Now, you try to create your own connected sentences. Let's also briefly practice a more academic style of writing. This is a very useful skill for exams, university essays, or professional reports. At the intermediate level, a learner might write a simple sentence like, Technology is good. It helps people. But at the advanced level, you would be expected to write something more sophisticated, like, technology plays a vital role in modern society as it significantly enhances communication, improves healthcare outcomes, and increases access to education worldwide. Despite its potential challenges, it continues to provide countless opportunities for human progress. This kind of complex sentence structure is what makes your writing sound truly advanced. Here is a short writing exercise for you. I want you to write 2 or 3 sentences on the topic, the importance of learning English today. For example, you might write, learning English is absolutely essential in today's globalized world because it serves as the primary language of international communication. It provides access to better job opportunities, a wider range of educational resources, and a deeper cultural exchange. As a result, it has become a necessary skill for both personal and professional success in the 21st century. Now, take a moment and try writing your own version. Another wonderful way to strengthen your writing skills is by keeping a daily journal in English. We've mentioned this before, but it's worth repeating. Each evening, try to write at least 5 sentences about your day. And remember, don't just list the things you did. Be sure to include your feelings and your thoughts as well. For example, today was incredibly busy at work, but I was proud that I managed to finish all my tasks on time. I felt a little stressed in the morning, but I felt much more relaxed after having a nice lunch with a friend. Writing about my day like this really helps me to reflect on my progress and reminds me that I am improving even on difficult days. This simple habit will not only improve your writing skills, but it will also build your confidence and your ability to express yourself. Now, let's connect our writing practice to our speaking practice. After you write a short paragraph, I want you to read it out loud. By doing this, you are practicing your pronunciation, your rhythm, and your fluency at the same time. For example, if you write about your weekend, don't just leave those words on the paper. Say them out loud as if you are telling the story to a friend. This makes the practice much more powerful and helps you to remember new words and expressions much better. Finally, please remember that advanced writing is not about using very long and difficult words all the time. The most important goals are clarity, accuracy, and flow. A truly good advanced writer is someone who can express complex ideas in a clear, logical, and natural way. So, don't try to make your writing overly complicated. Instead, focus on being precise and making sure your ideas are well connected. Here is one final exercise for this section. Imagine you are writing an email to apply for a volunteer position at an animal shelter. At the intermediate level, you might write, "Hello, I want to be a volunteer. I like helping animals." But at the advanced level, you could write something much more impressive. "Dear Sir or Madam, I am writing today to express my keen interest in the volunteer position advertised on your website. I am incredibly passionate about animal welfare, and I believe that my skills and my dedication would make me a valuable addition to your team. I would greatly appreciate the opportunity to contribute to the wonderful work of your organization." Do you see how much more professional, persuasive, and advanced that sounds? Now, let's bring everything we've learned together and move into the exciting and dynamic world of real-life conversation practice. Because this is where you can truly see the difference between the intermediate and the advanced English speaker. At the intermediate level, conversations are often short and functional, focused on exchanging basic information. But advanced conversations are so much more. They involve expressing nuanced opinions, agreeing and disagreeing politely and respectfully, asking thoughtful follow-up questions, and skillfully keeping the discussion flowing in a natural and engaging way. Let's begin by expanding on how to express your opinions. At the intermediate level, you might just say, "I think it's good," or "I don't like it." But at the advanced level, you have a whole toolkit of phrases to express yourself with more precision. For example, you can say, "In my opinion, this approach is very effective." Or, for a slightly different feel, "From my perspective, there are a few things that could be improved." Or, to make it more personal, "Personally, I believe that practicing every single day is the real key to success." Using these different phrases makes your speech sound richer, more thoughtful, and much more confident. Here is your exercise. I am going to ask you a question, and I want you to answer it using one of these advanced opinion phrases. The question is, do you think watching movies is a good way to learn English? Instead of just saying yes or no, try starting with one of our phrases. For example, "In my opinion, watching movies is one of the best ways to learn English because it exposes learners to natural speech and real-life cultural situations." Now, it's your turn. Create your own full answer and say it out loud. Now, let's practice agreeing politely. At the intermediate level, learners often just say a simple, "Yes, I agree." But at the advanced level, you can show your agreement in a more enthusiastic and collaborative way. You could say, "That's a great point. I completely agree with you." Or, "I share the same opinion, and I think you explained it really well." Or, for very strong agreement, "Absolutely." I couldn't agree more. These expressions make you sound like an active and engaged participant in the discussion. Let's try this together. Imagine your friend says, "I think reading books in English helps a lot." Instead of just saying, "Yes, I agree," try something more advanced. You could say, "That's a great point." I completely agree, because reading helps to build both your vocabulary and your grammar at the same time. Now, you try. Create your own sentence of agreement and say it out loud. Of course, sometimes you will need to disagree politely. This is a very important skill. At the intermediate level, people might say something too direct, like, "No, you are wrong," which can sound rude. But at the advanced level, you learn to use softer, more diplomatic language. You could say, "I see what you mean, but I think there's another way to look at it." Or, "I respect your opinion, though I personally feel a bit differently about that." Or, "That's an interesting point, but in my experience, it's not always the case." These phrases show respect for the other person's opinion, while still allowing you to express your own, which keeps the conversation polite and advanced. Let's practice this. Imagine your friend says, "It's not useful to practice speaking English alone." You want to disagree politely. You could answer, "I understand your point, but actually, I believe that practicing alone can be very helpful because it gives you a safe space to train your brain to think in English without any pressure." Now, you try. Create your own polite disagreement out loud. Another absolutely crucial advanced skill is asking good follow-up questions to keep the conversation going. At the intermediate level, conversations often die very quickly. For example, person A says, "I went to the park." Person B says, "Oh, that's nice." And then, silence. The conversation is over, but an advanced speaker knows how to keep it alive by asking more questions. "Oh, that's nice. What did you do there?" Or, "Oh, really? Was it crowded or was it peaceful?" Or, "Do you usually go there alone or with your friends?" Asking these questions shows that you are genuinely interested, and it keeps the conversation alive and moving forward. Let's try this. I am going to tell you something, and I want you to ask me a follow-up question. I say, "I went shopping yesterday." Now, what could you ask me? You could ask, "Oh, what did you buy?" Or, "Was it for something special or just for fun?" Now, try asking your own follow-up question out loud. Another great way to practice advanced conversation skills is through mini debates. Debating doesn't mean arguing or fighting. It simply means discussing different opinions on a topic respectfully. For example, let's debate this question. Is online learning better than traditional classroom learning? An intermediate learner might just say, "Online is good," or "Classroom is better." But an advanced learner would expand on their ideas. For example, "Personally, I think that online learning offers much more flexibility because students can study anytime and from anywhere in the world. However, traditional classroom learning allows for valuable face-to-face interaction and immediate feedback from the teacher. In my view, the ideal solution is probably a combination of both methods." Can you hear how that answer is complete, balanced, and thoughtful? Here is your debate exercise. I will give you a topic, and I want you to make a short, advanced statement that shows more than one side of the issue. The topic is, should everyone in the world learn to speak English? You might say something like, "I believe it's highly beneficial for everyone to learn English because it truly opens doors to global education and career opportunities. However, I also think it's incredibly important for people to value and preserve their native languages and cultures." Now, you give your own opinion on that topic. Let's also practice using conversational fillers. These are the small words and sounds that advanced speakers and native speakers use to sound natural while they are thinking. Words like "well," comma, "actually," comma, honestly. These words give you a precious second to think without creating an awkward silence, and they keep the conversation flowing smoothly. For example, "Well, I'm not entirely sure about that, but maybe we could try another way." Or, "Actually, I think it really depends on the specific situation." These little filler words will make you sound much more fluent and confident. Here is your practice. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to start your answer with at least one filler word. The question is, what is your favorite type of music? You could answer, "Well, I generally listen to a lot of pop music, but honestly, I also really enjoy classical music when I need to relax and focus." Now, you try. Create your own answer number word. Finally, let's role-play a real-life advanced discussion together. Imagine you and a friend are talking. Your friend says, "I think learning English grammar is so boring." You could reply, "I can see why you might feel that way, but I think grammar can actually be quite interesting if we try to connect it to real-life examples." Your friend says, "Maybe, but vocabulary feels much more useful to me." You could reply, "That's a very good point. Vocabulary is absolutely essential, but grammar is the structure that helps us use that vocabulary correctly and express ourselves clearly. Don't you think that both are really important together?" Did you notice how that conversation was polite, balanced, and advanced? Now, I want you to try repeating that role play, but this time use your own words and ideas. This is exactly the kind of respectful, intelligent discussion that marks you as an advanced English speaker. We have covered so much ground together today, from building a balanced study plan to mastering the nuances of real-life conversations. The final piece of this puzzle, the element that holds everything else together, is your mindset. Because the truth is, you can have the best plan in the world, you can have all the right materials, but if you don't have the right mindset, progress will always feel slow and difficult. The journey from intermediate to advanced is not just a technical challenge, it is also a mental and emotional one. So let's talk about embracing imperfection. This might be the single most important mental shift you can make. Many intermediate learners are paralyzed by a fear of making mistakes. They will stay silent in a conversation rather than risk saying something that isn't perfectly correct. But I want you to listen to me very carefully. Advanced English speakers are not perfect. Native English speakers are not perfect. We all make mistakes. We all stumble over our words sometimes. We all forget a word or use an awkward phrase. The difference is that an advanced learner has developed resilience. They don't see a mistake as a failure. They see it as a data point, as a learning opportunity. When they make a mistake, they notice it, they might correct it, and then they move on without judgment. They understand that every mistake is a sign that they are pushing their boundaries and trying something new. And that is exactly where growth happens. So here is a mindset exercise for you. I want you to say this sentence out loud, and I want you to really feel it. Say it with me. Every mistake I make is proof that I am trying. Let's say it again. Every mistake I make is proof that I am trying. And one more time. My mistakes are my teachers. When you begin to truly believe this, the fear will start to melt away, and you will find yourself speaking more freely and with much more confidence. The second part of an advanced mindset is cultivating curiosity. Think about it. At the intermediate stage, you often learn English because you have to, maybe for a test or for your job. Your learning is driven by external requirements. But advanced learners are driven by internal curiosity. They don't just study English. They use English to explore the world and to learn about things they are genuinely passionate about. If you love cooking, don't just learn the English words for vegetables. Use English to watch cooking shows from famous chefs, to read recipes from different countries, to join online forums where people discuss their favorite dishes. If you are passionate about technology, use English to read the latest tech news, to watch reviews of new gadgets, and to listen to podcasts about the future of innovation. When you connect English to your passions, it stops feeling like a chore, and it becomes a source of joy and discovery. Your motivation will skyrocket because you are no longer just learning a language. You are using the language to enrich your life. So here is your practice. I want you to think about one of your favorite hobbies or interests right now. Now, I want you to think of a question about that topic that you are genuinely curious about, and I want you to formulate that question in English. For example, if you love movies, you might ask, how do they create the special effects in superhero movies? If you love nature, you might ask, what is the deepest part of the ocean and what lives there? Now, create your own question in English. After this podcast, I want you to take that question and use English to find the answer. This is how you make learning active, personal, and fun. The third aspect of an advanced mindset is taking ownership of your learning. At the beginning of your journey, it's normal to rely on teachers and textbooks to guide you. But to reach the advanced level, you must become the director of your own learning journey. You are no longer just a passenger, you are the driver. This means you actively seek out your own materials. You set your own specific, realistic goals. You track your own progress. You identify your own weaknesses, and you create a plan to improve them. For example, instead of just waiting for someone to give you a vocabulary list, you start creating your own lists based on the words you encounter in your daily reading and listening. Instead of just doing the exercises in a book, you start creating your own practice sentences. This active, self-directed approach is what builds true independence and confidence. And finally, the advanced mindset is built on a deep understanding of the power of patience and consistency. This journey is a marathon, not a sprint. You will have wonderful days where you feel fluent and brilliant, and you will have difficult days where the words just won't come out right. This is completely normal. It's part of the process. The secret is to not get too excited on the good days and to not get too discouraged on the bad days. The secret is to simply show up and do your small, consistent practice every single day, no matter how you feel. It's just like learning to play the piano or training for a sport. You don't become a master overnight. You become a master through thousands of small, patient, consistent actions. So, now that we have all the tools, the techniques, and the right mindset, let's put it all together into a concrete, actionable weekly plan. I am going to give you a sample schedule. Please remember, this is just a template. The most important thing is that you adapt it to fit your own life, your own schedule, and your own goals. The key is balance and consistency. Let's imagine your week. On Monday, let's make it a listening-focused day. Your goal for today is to spend 15 minutes with an English podcast or a short YouTube video on a topic you enjoy. First, listen to the whole thing once to understand the general idea. Then, listen again, but this time choose 3 to 5 sentences that you found interesting or that contained a new expression. Practice shadowing these sentences. Repeat them out loud, trying to copy the speaker's rhythm and intonation exactly. Finally, open a notebook or a file on your computer and write a short summary, just 2 or 3 sentences of what you listened to. This whole process might take just 20 to 25 minutes, but it's an incredibly focused and powerful listening workout. On Tuesday, let's make it a speaking-focused day. Today, your goal is to activate your voice. Start with one of our fluency drills. Choose a simple topic, like my favorite city or my dream job. Set a timer for just 1 minute and speak about it out loud without stopping. Don't worry about mistakes. Just keep talking. Later in the day, find an opportunity for some self-talk. Maybe while you're cooking dinner or tidying your room, spend 10 minutes describing what you are doing out loud in English. Right now, I'm washing the dishes. These plates are from dinner last night. After this, I need to take out the trash. This keeps your brain thinking in English in a very low-pressure way. Wednesday can be our reading focus day. Find an online news article, a blog post, or a short story in English. Read it carefully. Your goal is not just to understand the story, but to actively learn from it. As you read, highlight or write down 5 new words, phrasal verbs, or collocations that you want to remember. Don't just write the word. Write the entire sentence it was in. This gives you context, which helps you remember it much better. Thursday will be our writing focus day. Let's use our daily journal habit. Before you go to sleep, take 10 minutes to write about your day. But today, give yourself a small challenge. Try to use at least 2 of the new words or phrases you learned from your reading yesterday. Maybe you also try to use a specific grammar point we practiced, like a conditional sentence or a connector word, like however. For example, today was very productive. If I hadn't finished my report, my boss would have been disappointed. However, I managed to get it done just in time. This makes your writing practice very purposeful. On Friday, let's make it our grammar and review day. This is so important. Take out your notes from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Spend 15 minutes reviewing everything you've learned. Reread the new vocabulary words. Say the shadowed sentences out loud again. Then, choose one grammar point that you know is a weakness for you. Maybe it's phrasal verbs, or maybe it's the present perfect tense. Find a short online lesson or video about it, and then do a few practice exercises. This focused review is what makes your learning stick. Saturday is our real-life exposure day. Today, your goal is to have fun with English. Watch a full episode of an English TV show or a part of a movie. Challenge yourself to watch it with English subtitles, or if you feel brave, with no subtitles at all. Don't worry if you don't understand every single word. The goal is to relax and enjoy the story, to get used to the natural speed and rhythm of real conversation. Afterwards, you could even try to explain the plot out loud to yourself, as if you were telling a friend about it. And finally, Sunday is our day to relax and reflect. You can do some light exposure today, maybe by listening to some of your favorite English songs and looking up the lyrics. But most importantly, take 5 minutes to reflect on your week. Ask yourself, what did I do well this week? What was challenging? What is my main goal for next week? This simple act of reflection keeps you motivated, it keeps you focused, and it makes you the active director of your own successful journey to fluency. As you can see, this plan ensures that you are practicing all the key skills every single week in a balanced and manageable way. It's not about studying for hours. It's about short, focused, and consistent daily actions. This is the real, sustainable path from the intermediate plateau to the peaks of advanced English. We have come to the end of our journey together in this special episode. We have explored the fundamental differences between the intermediate and advanced levels. We have built a comprehensive, balanced study plan. We have practiced countless interactive exercises for your listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And we have cultivated the confident, curious, and resilient mindset that is essential for success. You now have a complete roadmap. You have all the tools and all the strategies you need to make this transformation happen. The only thing left to do is to begin. I want you to remember that this journey is yours and yours alone. It will have its own unique pace, its own challenges, and its own incredible rewards. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate your small victories along the way. And never, ever forget how far you have already come. Reaching the intermediate level was a huge accomplishment, and you have the strength, the intelligence, and the dedication to go all the way. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today and for your active participation. I truly hope you found this guide helpful and that you feel inspired and empowered to take the next steps on your English adventure. If you enjoyed this extended episode and want more lessons to guide you on your path to fluency, please make sure you subscribe to the Best English podcast. And if you have a moment, sharing this episode with a friend or leaving a review would mean the world to me. It helps our community grow and allows us to help even more learners just like you. My name is Sophia, and it has been an absolute pleasure to be your guide. Keep practicing, stay curious, and I look forward to speaking with you again very soon in our next episode. Goodbye for now.